Baseball is still the national pastime in Japan in ways that maybe it isn't even here. We love baseball in the United States, but there are so many other things vying for attention in the realm of sport. Japanese baseball is, like American baseball, is surrounded with myth. And in the case of Japan, the central myth of the starting point for baseball has to do with the samurai values, the values of Bushido, the way of the warrior. And it's essentially that Japanese baseball reflects the values of Bushido, which include a pure-hearted devotion, in this case to sport, a willingness to endure pain for victory, a willingness to make sacrifice for the good of the team, to accede to authority. All of these trademarks of Confucianism and of Bushido can be found in baseball. At least the myth is that baseball is a repository for these values. There's a number of things involved in this, but one thing is that baseball entered Japan in the 1870s and 80s just when the samurai class was facing dissolution and Japan was modernizing. So I think in a sense it was natural that those who came from that class, and many of the young high school and college students were from the samurai families, that they should be looking consciously or unconsciously for places that reflected the values of that class. And this eventually begins to appear in works of literature, in film and manga. The idea that the individual always needs to accede to authority, that the individual that there's no room for personal expression, for example, that victory, that success on the baseball field is always the result of hard work as opposed to just raw talent. So some of the filmmakers and writers began to challenge these basic myths. In terms of team sports, baseball remains really unchallenged. And because of that, it's embedded in the culture in ways that isn't here. One thing I'll mention is one subtext in the book is that so many of the works I look at high school baseball. High school baseball, more than other forms of baseball, seen as a repository of that which is pure in terms of sport, in terms of this Bushido, this samurai baseball model. And so many of the stories have a context whereby the teams end up vying for the national championship, which is played in August in Japan at a particular stadium called Koshien. And Koshien is kind of the holy of holies of Japanese baseball. And to get there at the end of the high school team is the absolute goal of all the teams. Every prefecture sends a representative team there. So much of it is about that high school baseball and this idea of the purity that's inherent in that game.